Okay, so one of the reasons that I ask for a magazine article style is because the way most students write, they've been trained to write this double-spaced type of work, but in business you have to learn how to make things visually appealing. If you're going to do a report to a CEO, if you're going to do something that might have more public consumption, you need to be able to have something that is going to be a little bit more pleasing to read. So here is 1,500 words roughly that I used filler text called lorem ipsum to generate, and here's how you can make this look a little bit more like a magazine article, and we're doing it in Word, so it should be very easy. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the double spacing. So again, I'm doing this in Word. You can do this in PC just the same by going to Format Paragraph and removing the double spacing and removing the hanging indent that is typical with a student paper. And I'm going to say, okay, boom. Now we're down to this. Doesn't matter. I know what class you're submitting this for. So we'll get rid of that line. I'm going to take this and move it to the left, and you'll see how this is going to pan out. Now, when it comes to margins, I'm going to actually move those margins a little thinner. I'll go with moderate. I usually go narrow whenever I do something because who needs margins, but we'll go moderate. Give a little bit more space. And at this point in time, now I'm ready to really get into this. So I'm going to pull in all of this text, and I'm going to put it into columns. Now, there's two types of magazine articles. You could do a dual column with 2 columns. You could do 3 columns. I would prefer 3, but you're going to notice that it's got a lot of space here, right? So I'm going to undo that, Command Z, Control Z. I'm going to go into the format. I think it's in format, or is it insert? No, format, columns. And I'm going to use a thinner column spacing. So the width is 2, but when I make this a little smaller, 0.2, could probably even go 0.15 on this. You'll see that now we've got 3 columns, which is typically what you see in a particular magazine article. Now, if you go on your Home tab and you hit this button up here, this little paragraph symbol, you'll see where your column starts. And I'm going to add a little bit of space in there for my first image. So there's several ways to insert images into your document. I'm going to go and I downloaded some images. Let's pretend that this is a dancing article, and I've got this long image here, and I'm just going to drag this into the document. And I'm going to make it a little bigger just by dragging it at the bottom here. Right? This is my article about dancing. Now, you see this tab here? This gives me an opportunity to angle it, and you can see how it's messing with things. That's fine. We want wrapping of some sorts. Now, text wrapping around images can also get creative. If you click the image, there's always picture format up here, and you can choose text wrapping. So let's say I used square or tight. Both do about the same thing. And then I wrap it. You see how now the images are more. If I bring this into the article itself, I use tight just to show you the difference. You see how it wraps around the image. I'm going to hit Command Z, get this at the top. And that's just how I'm going to start my magazine article. Magazine articles typically are not written with a sans serif style font. There's a difference between serif and sans serif. Sans serif has no feet. Arial, Calibri, which is the default font in Word, there's no feet there. Helvetica is another one that's nice. But when you're reading text that's in print, which often people will do, you want to use something else. So Times New Roman is a common one. And I'm going to use Times New Roman. And believe it or not, many articles are not written in 12-point font, but something smaller. So we're going to go with a 10-point font. Okay, and now you're seeing it come together. I'm going to remove this formatting. Now for this, I'm going to change it. So obviously you want to put your name up at the top, right? But in an article, something different is done. Usually you would say by. And it's also often called a byline for that very reason. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to actually make it larger. And we can drop down, just go to 20 point and see where that's about. Let's make it even bigger. And I'm going to change this. Hi, article about dancing. Okay, now you're seeing your typical newspaper format here with 3 columns. And now let's add some pull quotes and let's add some images. And so I downloaded some images about dancing that we can bring into this. And you can do this with images, you can do this with graphs from Excel, you can do this with a number of different types of pieces. If you're writing a white paper, you may want to use graphs. So I've got all these dancing pictures again. Let's use this square image here. I'm going to pull this right into the document. You're going to see that it's going to screw a lot of things up when I bring this in, right? Boom. What is that? So the first thing, I'm going to go back and I'm going to add some type wrapping with it and make it a little bit larger so that it fits. And we're going to cross over into that so you can do that. And boom, there's a picture. And you'll see that if you rotate it, the text might go around it, so it depends on how clever you want to get with this. I'm not going to rotate it because this is more of a business class and you wouldn't add too many tricky things in there. Okay, and so we're going to add another couple pictures throughout the article. You can see that that'll make the article go a few more pages. So we got this nice young woman here that we'll bring in, and I'll actually bring her up. First, I'm going to change the wrapping. Always change that wrapping as first. It makes it a lot easier to move it around the document. So let's pull it up, and again, I'm going to make this crossover. I'm going to put this actually in the middle, and I will add a little bit of an angle to it. See how the, did I do tight? Oh, that's why. Tight. There we go. So you see the difference. I'm going to put her like this. Actually, just put her on this side here. There you go. Okay. Now, I also mentioned pull quotes. This is a little trickier. Now, I did put a quote somewhere in here. So, look for a quotation mark. There it is. All right. So, let's say you have this quote right here. I'm going to copy it out. Copy, and go and insert a text box into this. And so text boxes are a great way to do what's called a pull quote. Oh, that did it for me. Oops. Oops, oops, oops. There we go. No, there's still a text box in there. Command Z. Nothing's perfect. There we go. Let's go back down here. Of course, find that quotation again. There we are. I'll just copy it, close my search, unselect the text, and now I will insert my text box. Draw a text box. Okay, and I'm going to do it. You can do it through all 3 columns. You can do it through 2 columns, and you're going to see right away that it just overwrites the prior document, the prior pieces there. So I'll put my text in there first, and then with the text box highlighted, format. I think I had to right click to get to the text wrapping on this one. Here it is, wrap text. I'll go back to that tight. You could also probably, for this I may actually do square. And now the text flows over, and you can see if I were to add some spaces there, it would drop to the bottom. Okay. And so for this text box, there are a couple ways that we can move around this. I'm going to make this text a little bit bigger, bolder, just a skosh smaller. Actually, this is big enough text that I'm going to go across all 3. No, definitely a 2 line. There we are. And you can right click and you can get a lot of information. By the way, send to front, send to back as if you want to layer the images. Right now, this text box is over top of other things, and sometimes you'll see if you have pictures over top of each other that it'll do it. I believe in the example that I give, I have 2 of the books at the front, and one is over top of the other, and you can use this to change how that looks. Okay. And so let me go back into this. I ended up pulling a period in by mistake over there. And of course, we want to say that this is said by someone, so person. And this is a pull quote right now. It appears with a box. There's a couple of ways of getting around the full box like I put there. But I'm not going to needle the fact that there's a box. Now, let's talk about captions for a second. So let's say you wanted to add a caption under this picture. You would do the same thing. You would create a text box. Right? We're going to put that text box right. Oh, I need to draw it. Put that text box right underneath the... don't have text selected when you do that. There we go. Text. Draw text box. And we're going to put that text box right here, okay? And again, we've got to wrap text. I'm just going to throw some text in there for now. I'm going to wrap it tight, okay? And so, picture caption, right? You might say, this is not how people dance. Okay, I'm going to put this up a little bit. What I'm going to do actually is get rid of the line around this, and so we don't want to border around the text box. And under shape format over here, let's say no outline. So now there's no outline, but sometimes you may want to create some line to help create separation, and we can do that through insert. Plenty of shapes that you can use. In this, we're just going to use a line. I'm just going to draw a line right underneath that to give it a piece of separation. For some reason, Word always wants your lines to be blue. We're going to make it black. You can click that, or you can click this color here. And now we've got a black line. We can also make it a little thicker and go with a 1-point line. Okay? And so here we have our document showing up looking a little bit more like a magazine article in terms of how magazine articles read. All right, do we have any more pictures we can use here? Oh, we got some people dancing here. If we wanted to throw an extra shot in there, we'll do that. Now, I downloaded these off the web. You can actually simply go to the web and click copy image and paste the image in your document if you needed to. So for example, here's the image. I'm going to right click and choose copy image. And I'll go back to my document. I didn't practice this before, so hopefully this works. And I'm just going to hit paste Command V or Control V for you. There we go. The image is put there. Same thing. Picture format, text wrapping, tight. And in this case, we'll do a little bit of an angle. Try and put it somewhere where it looks good. Let's make it a little bigger. Right. Again, you see how everything's wrapping around the image towards the top of the page. There we go. Yeah, there we are. Now, it's not letting me put it in there, but that's Word. That's just what we have to deal with. Okay, and of course, if you have endnotes in there, let's say you needed to cite this right here. I'll zoom in just so you can see. Let's see. I want to put an endnote in the end of this. For example, all you have to do is put your number, say this is the endnote number 5, highlight it. Up over here in your formatting, you would do this, so 5, and of course at the end of the document, after the column break, insert, we're going to put the end of the column, so column break. What I want. There we go. Should be back to a standard thing, and we can put our endnotes here. And of course, we can see that we are out of our columns because it's letting me go across the screen with the typing. Right? Okay. So, and of course, I'd want you to put this on a new page as well, and you can do that after the column break. It just went right automatically to the next page, but if you hit Command or Control Enter, it'll put a page break in there instead of having to say hit Enter, 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 Enter. All right. So there you go. There you have it. There's your article. And if I wanted to print this out as a PDF, at least in Macintosh, you just go ahead and bring up that print to dialog and save as PDF. And of course, There's a similar option when you do save as for the PC. If you're not using a Mac or PC, I have no idea how you do it. Obviously, I have no idea how you would do this in Google Sheets. There are similar functions, but you need to make sure that you know how to do appealing documents like this. And of course, this took all of a few minutes to do. So take some time to look at the formatting and see if you can do something nice to make something a little bit more visually appealing. Good luck, and I'm looking forward to reading your comparisons of the two books.